What I'm going to try to do this evening is first tell you about my introduction to DBSA through my own experience with bipolar disorder. My first introduction to the illness, at least that I was aware of, was very scary. So fasten your seatbelts for the ride. If we both survive that, I'll tell you what I think has made the Houston chapter of DBSA such an amazing success story. And finally, I'll leave a few minutes in case there are any questions. There are others here whom I will introduce who can answer them in much more depth than I. My introduction to bipolar disorder came through a very frightening few days about 15 years ago. My wife, Joanne, wave, had gone to Washington to visit our daughter who was interning on the Hill. For some reason, still inexplicable to me, I went on a terrifying rampage of outrageous behavior, totally different from my usual, not very exciting self. I don't remember all of what happened, but what I do remember still gives me the chills to attempt to tell you. I haven't told this story since my last talk 7 years ago, so you'll have to bear with me. I moved out of our home of more than 25 years at the time, now more than 40. I filled the new apartment with furniture purchased on an irresistible impulse. And I made many middle-of-the-night shopping runs to Walmart and Kmart, bringing back many grocery carts full of stuff, TVs, books, electronics, all kinds of junk. And ordinarily, I hate to shop. I also bought 4 cars. And I know I had several bad temper tantrums and other behavior totally uncharacteristic. Then I went totally out of control and in a different world of consciousness. I was aware that I was in the middle of the night racing madly in my car, and I was on what we call our West Loop. That's that giant freeway that runs just outside the Galleria. I was on one of those interchanges that's multiple stories high. And I was sure that I was in the grasp of a giant, slimy, green monster with tentacles pulling on my neck and arms and the steering wheel. I was fighting it off, trying to keep it from being pulled off to plunge far below. Eventually my urges subsided. I was soaked with sweat. My heart raced to recover. And somehow my inner drive to live won out. I'll never be able to explain that evening or to forget it. This all came to an end in a moment of serendipity, or perhaps a God-sent thing. For some reason, I happened to see our pastor at a reception. Fortunately, he recognized that there was something terribly wrong with me, and he asked to meet with me that very day. I asked him to come to my new pad, which I guess I was proud of. When Dr. Jackson came, he urged me to call Joanne. While he was there, he got on the phone and asked her to come home immediately. I don't know how it happened, but they soon got me to a psychiatrist. I didn't resist because I knew something had gone terribly wrong with me. And I knew I wanted to keep Joanne and my family more than anything else in the world. The psychiatrist didn't take long to tell me that I had manic depression. That's what bipolar disorder was called then. And she prescribed medication. She also suggested I read Dr. Kay Jamison's book, An Unquiet Mind, about her own illness. That book made a big impact on me. I saw so much of me in it. Very soon, I decided that I was going to do everything that I could to conquer, or at least control, this monster that's in me. My psychiatrist also recommended going to a DMDA support group. That's what we were called then. There were 3 in Houston at the time. And that's where I mostly learned to manage my illness, to talk and listen to others, learn tools, and profit from others' observations of me. Through the years, I got even more out of serving others when I started facilitating a group. They've retired me now, but I still go, and I consider several of my friends there among my closest and most helpful. Though I'm centered most of the time, I continue to occasionally have beyond normal moods. I go through periods where I overcommit, think I'm the smartest guy in the room, am very creative, and don't need much sleep. Then it will inevitably follow that I will go through a period of what I call molasses brain, low self-esteem, guilt, and not being able to get out of bed. But most of the time, with the help of Joanne, my meds, my support group, and my friends, I'm able to recognize these periods and seek treatment when necessary. I don't drink, I get regular exercise, and I try to get adequate sleep, all of which helps. Since my bad encounter 15 years ago, I have had 3 periods of true psychosis again, including a hospitalization. The monster came back. Joanne and I know they all occurred in hospitals or immediately following surgeries. We believe that these were the result of not getting my usual meds, perhaps receiving morphine for pain, or maybe being awakened in the middle of the night so often, or perhaps just bad hospital food. I'm not the least bit ashamed about my illness. It doesn't define me. I am not bipolar. I just have bipolar disorder. I didn't ask for it or cause it. I'm no different or better or worse than the cancer survivor from MD Anderson. I just have a treatable brain illness.